Friday, March 31. In a sense, we could argue that God had no choice. If he wanted beings who could love him and love others, he had to create them free. If they were not free, they could not love. And what would our universe be without love? It would be what some people have claimed, nothing but a mindless machine that works according to strict laws of cause and effect, and in which we have no free will, no free choice, and are nothing but flesh and blood packets of subatomic particles that follow only the laws of physics. Not exactly a pretty picture, nor does it represent what we know in and of ourselves to be true. Who among us thinks, for instance, that our love for our parents, our children, our spouses is nothing but an arrangement of atoms? In Patriarchs and Prophets, page 34 and 35, we read, "The law of love, being the foundation of the government of God, the happiness of all intelligent beings, depends upon their perfect accord with its great principles of righteousness." God desires from all his creatures the service of love, service that springs from an appreciation of his character. He takes no pleasure in a forced obedience, and to all he grants freedom of will, that they may render him voluntary service. So long as all created beings acknowledged the allegiance of love, there was perfect harmony throughout the universe of God. It was the joy of the heavenly host to fulfill the purpose of their Creator. They delighted in reflecting his glory and showing forth his praise. And while love to God was supreme, love for one another was confiding and unselfish. There was no note of discord to mar the celestial harmonies. End of quote. And that brings us to our 3 discussion questions for this week. 1. Why is Revelation 12 a fitting introduction to the 3 angels' messages, especially in view of the coming conflict at the time of the end? 2. How is Revelation 12 reassuring to you personally in the temptations and trials you face today? And 3. There are some who believe that our actions are largely determined by our heredity and environment. Do you agree or disagree? What role does our choice have in determining our behavior? Discuss the relationship between our choice and God's power operating in our lives. Now for Inside Story. Our mission story today is read by Sibella. Thank you, Sibella.
Run to Jesus by Alicia Marie Harding. Homeschooling, a smoothly running schedule, a clean house, homemade healthy meals. These things are good, and I am passionate about them as an American missionary mother raising 4 missionary kids in Zambia. But these things are also simply tools that help us honour Jesus. If the tools get in the way of Jesus, we need to run to him. It was about 10 a.m. We were in the middle of homeschool, and I was also multitasking with laundry and lunch preparation. Then one child snapped at another for making too much noise. Tears started flowing when a child couldn't figure out her math problem, and an argument erupted between 2 siblings insistent on getting their own way. My own frustration was festering because I had to keep repeating instructions to an inattentive child. At that point, I knew I had 2 choices. I could give way to my flesh and with a harsh voice set everyone straight. Or I could go against my inclinations and with a sweet, cheerful voice invite all of us to take our problems to Jesus. What did we gain in work and school if Jesus wasn't in our hearts? Smiling, I called each child by name. Shayla, I said to my 11-year-old daughter. Wesley, I said, turning to my 9-year-old son. Sienna and Winston, I said to my 7-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son. We are going to talk all our problems out to Jesus and let him help us fix them. We knelt under a shade tree and told Jesus about our problems. We read in the Bible about how Jesus calmed the storm. We praised Jesus with a song, and then we shared hugs and started our day all over again with Jesus in it. Again. Walking back into the house, each child's spirit was subdued. Once inside, each child listened more carefully to my instructions. There was a willingness to work out disagreements in a restful and respectful manner that focused on others, a sharp contrast with the earlier self-focused spirit. We were reminded that Jesus was near and his presence was more precious than any to-do list. Ellen White writes, "Mothers who sigh for a missionary field have one at hand in their own home circle. Are not the souls of her own children of as much value as the souls of the heathen? With what care and tenderness should she watch their growing minds and connect God with all their thoughts? Who can do this as well as loving and God-fearing mother?" From the Adventist Home, page 245. Motherhood is more than running a home. It's about running your little ones to Jesus. Thank you for your mission offerings that support missionaries around the world.
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.